Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover a selection of titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order by site, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. Our newest release, Swarms of the Multiverse, offers over 70 brand new creatures, including their associated swarms. Plus, you get instructions on how to make your own balanced swarms, and lots of bonus materials such as 4 new demiplanes. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take your potions to the next level in your game. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs. Also, our book, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class and much more. Please support the channel by purchasing one of our books using the links in the video description. Before we talk about this week's new releases, we got to talk about the exclusive Splinterverse discount this week, and it's one of the deepest discounts we've been ever able to offer for you, and it's on an adventure called 3 Men and a Cheese, to say nothing of the dog, by Penny Blake. And as you can see, it's already part of the Halloween sale going on DM's Guild right now. So it's normally $4.99, it's $3.99, but with our discount, you're going to get this for only 50 cents. That's an incredible discount. Thank you so much, Penny. And it's 35 pages for a really fun adventure. It says 3 men walk into a pub with a cheese they need to deliver to the next town. It seems straightforward, doesn't it? Get your party thinking outside the box with this seemingly innocuous hell ride through incrementally weathered valleys, deceptively sinister forests, and bee-infested monasteries, all in the company of an innocent cheese and a very persistent dog. It's a quirky comedy one-shot based loosely around the themes in The 3 Men in a Boat, to say nothing of the dog, by Jerome K. Jerome, and it's scalable for any level with a playing time of 2 to 3 hours. So it includes a haunted cheese, a tribe of sinister ducks, monks of Melissae, Way of the Hive, exploding soup, a beatnik vampire, 11 new magical items, including the escapological tea towel and fluffy slippers of watchful rest, 3 new monsters, including zombies, snow bees, and royal jelly, definitely no hags, and of course, the dog. And then there's 2 original tavern games to play, as well as a recipe that you can use in the real world for Tasha's saucy cauldron of hot cheese to spice up your game night. So just imagine you make this cauldron of hot cheese for your table as you play this adventure. How cool would that be? I love when books give you the opportunity to take it outside the book and into the real world. So very cool. Let's look inside. So you can see it's divided into 8 different chapters, and at the end you get those tavern games and that recipe. And so go through the adventure background, and it tells you, okay, average party level of 1 to 2. These are the different DC ratings that you would use for the easy, medium, hard. If it says DC easy, then you would just look here and say, okay, my average party level is 1 to 2, so I need to make that a DC 4. So really easy way to scale a lot of the DCs in here. So super helpful. You get the adventure overview, and then you get to go through all of the fun in here, including Chapter 1, 3 Men and a Cheese. And so you get to see the whole book in the preview as well. So I'm just going to do a quick scroll so you can see a lot of it here. But you got an apothecary table, into the valley, random forest encounters, crazy weather encounters, tricky terrain encounters. There's those sinister duck encounters, which I think is funny. Adventures in foraging, a druid encounter. There's a library, hives. I mean, you've got to come check this out on your own. There's no reason not to. When the whole book is in the preview, there's no reason not to check it out and take a look for yourself before you purchase. And you know, this price, 50 cents for 35 pages, is just unreal. And it's a great way to support an awesome creator. Penny does a lot for the community, and so I think it would be a great way to show your support for that awesomeness. All right, so let's find a little bit to read here for you. So it says the adventure party arrives at the Griffin's Roost just as one of the landlords is struggling with a delivery for one of their guests who has sent their luggage on ahead. Brother and sister 𝘙𝙬 and 𝙁𝙤𝙀𝙗 askew run the Griffin's Roost. Roll a d6 to see which landlord the characters encounter or decide for yourself. So it could be dwarf male commoner landlord, 𝘙𝙬 askew, who is a dwarf male commoner landlord, and it says 𝘙𝙬 is a rotund, rubicund old chap who's a little too fond of his own ale. A heavy chest will easily roll the tipsy dwarf flat on his back, but he's a jolly fellow, always ready to laugh at himself and others, and never one to ask for help or admit he's actually in trouble. So that's a fun character. And then you also could get 𝙁𝙀𝙀 askew, and there's a description on that, and then you get to read what they say. So we'll read what, since we read a little bit about 𝘙𝙬, let's read what 𝘙𝙬 flavor text is. It says, as you approach the Griffin's Roost, your way is blocked by a round, red-faced old dwarf struggling with a cartload of wooden chests. With a final heave, the dwarf topples over backwards onto the ground in front of you with one of the chests on top of him. Blinking, he looks up at you and grins toothily through his graying red beard. Don't mind me. I'll be there to sort you out in a minute. Just need to get this lot shifted, and I'll be right with you. So you get this fun little fellow that is trying to move some chests somewhere. So he has a little accident there, and then you get to meet all these other people in the roost, and then you get to chapter 2. It says, who will rid us of this turbulent cheese? So once the party have left the tavern and the town behind, if they didn't agree to take the cheese, and they become aware of the cheese amongst them. Whether the party took the cheese willingly or not, it quickly becomes an annoyance, muttering, humming, whispering, giggling, shouting, random abuse, and singing insulting songs. So imagine getting to play that out as a DM. At first, the PC should be given the impression that the opprobrious remarks and insulting rhymes are coming from other party members, but eventually they can deduce that the onslaught is coming from the cheese. So even there, so you could send little secret messages to a player and say this or do this funny thing, and then it sounds like it's from their voice, you know. It says any efforts to get rid of it fail. It simply reappears a few miles later in someone else's pack. Any attempts to discern magic or detect the presence of the 𝘙𝙤𝙀𝙀 are rebuffed and met with insolent laughter and jeering remarks from the ring. All attempts to destroy the cheese are repelled by the protective charms the 𝘙𝙤𝙀𝙀 have put on their new home. These last for the duration. The 𝘙𝙤𝙀𝙀 are inside the cheese. If anyone attempts to destroy the cheese with a mundane or magical attack, roll on the Fromagian fumbles table. So then there's all these fumbles related to the cheese. I mean, just so much fun little things in here. You even have this apothecary table, and then the dog, of course, gets involved as well. And I have a feeling the dog is a werewolf, but you'll have to play and read this to figure it out. But even just reusing these crazy weather encounters, you can do that. You can take some of the other encounters on here, the terrain encounters, or the sinister duck encounters, if you want to have, a strange encounter with a duck. You can have that through here, because I mean there's it looks like 6 different duck encounters in the sinister duck encounters table. So for 50 cents, I mean, being able to just have 6 duck encounters alone to spring on unsuspecting players, I think makes it worth it. I mean, there's just so much. I wish we had time to go through every little thing for you, but we've got a lot of new releases to get to too. So I hope you take advantage. These discounts last for a very short time, so they come out on Mondays and they last through Sunday. So you want to get these as quick as you can. It's in the video description links. It should be the first one in the timestamps and in the alphabetized list in the pinned comment under 3 men and a cheese. Give it a click. All right, our first new release is Beowulf, the Serpent of Glinnredïn. And it's an adventure for 1 hero of level 1 to 2 and 1 GM, because Beowulf is mostly a duet game. There are instructions in the core rulebook on how to convert it to a multiplayer, but it is mostly a duet where you have 1 player and 1 dungeon master, basically. And it's by Handiwork Games, only $2.99 for 17 pages. Author Jacob Rogers. The Kingdom of Reged is plagued by a golden worm that is eating all the livestock. A hero is needed to confront the serpent and slay it, but when they reach the fells where the worm dwells, they will learn that the situation is more complex than it first seems, and they might find themselves drawn into an older conflict. It's a mini adventure, and it's expanded from a participation game that they ran on their Discord. So it's been play tested with a group already, so you have that, and it says you can use it, of course, with Beowulf, which we have a whole video on the Beowulf system that you can, if you just search Splinterverse Beowulf on YouTube, it'll come up. But it's just a fun, really Norse-inspired duet way of playing 5th edition, and it's so cool because you can just have one friend, all you need. You know, a lot of times with regular Dungeons and Dragons, you got to get a whole group together, but with duet, all you got to find is one person, and you are good to go. One of you is the DM, and the other one's the player, and you can even switch off, I guess, and then you can get your D&D fix, right? And you can see just the beautiful artwork already just from this screenshot here on the catalog page, but it's broken into parts. It's got 3 parts plus a map, and then the rest of the parts up to 7, and then an appendix. And so you get the summary with information on pronunciation and, you know, kind of background information. Then you get some of the characters, and I love that each of the characters, because I butcher pronunciations all the time on this show, but I love that it says down here like Sinfark Oer. So I could say this way easier, or Prydirk, because they have that little parentheses pronunciation guide underneath. So super helpful. So let's read about these characters a little bit. So Sinfark is an older and glum man dressed richly in wools dyed dark, gold rings on his fingers, silver crown well set with jewels. So the challenge to impress Sinfark, the king, that the hero can handle the worm and is worthy of the king's good advice. This requires a persuasion check. And it says, despite his finery, Sinfark wears no cross. A hero of the old ways, or a character that introduces a follower of the old ways, can gain advantage. But then there's also a disadvantage criteria if the hero assumes that the presence of Prydirk means that they should center church concepts in their speech. They have disadvantage on their ability checks. And then results: success by 5 or more. Sinfark promises rewards aplenty for the hero to slay the golden worm, and whispers in the hero's ear that Prydirk is all mouth and no action. Better to trust 𝘨𝙤𝙠𝙨. And then if there's just a regular success, Sinfark promises reasonable rewards to the hero. And then if there's a failure, Sinfark openly doubts the hero's prowess, but says that their ship and crew will be safe at Rockcliffe for the next 2 weeks. But if it's failure by 5 or more, the king claims ownership over the ship and crew if the hero does not return before the new moon. And then there's some further challenges. And then you have challenges and advantage, disadvantage, etc. with Prydirk as well. So fun way of handling some information gathering, interaction, role play, all that good stuff with these characters, and beautiful artwork, layout. I mean, just the feeling. I mean, the border with this sort of Norse snake pattern, really cool. So if you want to get your Norse on, if you're a fan of shows that are like that, or literature, or even, you know, Thor from Marvel movies, you can really get the feeling of that throughout the Beowulf products. And I think it's so fun, and their maps are just so gorgeous, and you should be able to reuse those as well. So check this out. It's under Beowulf, the Serpent of Glinnredïn, in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have the Botanical Bestiary by Matt Cavanaugh and Sita Duncan, and it's from Inky Cap Press, $14.95. And it says, the wonders of the natural world await. Following a successful Kickstarter campaign and months of refining, the Botanical Bestiary has finally arrived. Each creature in this book is a unique and flavorful variant of a 𝙦𝙨, which is an adorable, whimsical, and mischievous nature spirit with traits and personalities as varied as the plants they are created from. So there's 65 different creatures, a playable 𝙦𝙨 race with 10 𝙦𝙨 heritages, which would be like subraces, I guess. And it's perfect for playing as a 𝙦𝙨 or taking on new challenges, whether you're spicing up combat with a pepper, indulging with some cacao, or simply stopping to smell the roses. The Botanical Bestiary is sure to provide your players with a range of delightful and deadly encounters. So we talked about earlier that you can can sometimes bring real world stuff into the game. So if you are somebody who gardens or is a florist, or frequently has fresh cut flowers or whatever, you could bring those to your table and have the smells of some of these things. Or in the case of cacao, you could have some cacao flavored drinks, whatever. You could really use this to activate the senses at your table, because there's a lot of real world plants involved in this. So the book is in spread format in the preview, so you're getting to see pretty much like 12 of the 76 pages. So that's a good selection. You can see how beautifully laid out it is. I love all the art by 𝙤𝙤 in here with the little characters. Reminds me a lot of like Pokemon style, or anything with cute little characters. So you get the sort of intro to everything, how the creature traits are, and then you get right into looking at some of them. So there's an agave, algae, aloe, avocado. So again, these are all things you can bring in. Bamboo. So I have like a vase with some bamboo in it in my house. So if I was running this, I could have that right there in the middle and just give the feeling of it. So let's look at the very first one. Let's look at agave. So we're going to zoom in. It says the agave 𝙤𝙤's main strength is alcohol, which it uses to weaken foes and buff itself. If your table is into it, the tipsiness of the 𝙤𝙤 also offers great role-playing options. This 𝙤𝙤 often starts the encounter with slurred words and swaying steps, and may leave the players feeling the same. Out of combat, it is a great party guest, provided no one overindulges. Bottoms up. And it says, found in deserts throughout the Americas, agave is a succulent with leaves covered in sharp teeth. Agave have numerous adaptations to survive their harsh environment, requiring little water to survive. However, agave is best known for its agricultural use, as it can be harvested as a base for making tequila. Its nearly 200-pound heart, the piña, is roasted, then pressed to produce a sweet base for fermentation, leading to a popular spirit. So you're going to learn about these plants in the real world, because they're all real world plants, as well as the characters. So it says, it's a friendly drinker and the favored 𝙤𝙤 of drunken gods everywhere. It uses sharp spines for defense, and its innate distillation powers to subdue foes. So I could just imagine, because these are plant spirits, right? You could have several agave if this was like a desert setting, and somewhere in there is the spirit, like kind of hiding amidst them, right? So you can have fun where they have to search various agave plants, hoping to find the 𝙤𝙤. Maybe it burps because it's drunk. I don't know. But you could there's so many fun ways you could work these in, because they're plants as well, right? This is a CR4, and it's got various things. So it speaks desert plant, and it's got verdant burst. When the agave 𝙤𝙤 dies, a burst of primal energy explodes, restoring 18 hit points to each plant creature in a 30-foot radius. So that's very helpful. And then it says, distill. As a bonus action, the agave 𝙤𝙤 distills its internal alcohol to become stronger. It adds 1d4 poison damage to each attack, but suffers a dex penalty basically for that. Or a dex saving throw, a penalty, I should say. And it's got something called Frond, which is a melee attack, and Nectar Spit, so ranged attack as well. And then, you go right into aloe. You can learn all about the aloe. You can learn about bamboo. Bonsai, even bonsai trees are in here. So many fun creatures for you to enjoy. And I've talked about plants many times on this series. I think plants are key to bringing your fantastical worlds to life. So put these plants in there. Just traipsing through the wilderness and never talking about anything that lives there, that, beyond these monsters that show up, is just kind of a mistake, in my opinion, because we should be able to picture what lives on the ground that we're walking on, right? Are there certain types of bushes or trees or cacti or whatever it is, right? Maybe some invented imaginary plant that doesn't exist in the real world. But in any case, this book has so many options, and you can have a whole campaign around the 𝙤𝙤s, and because you can even play, it has a playable race of those, and just really liven up your game with this. So look for it in the video description links under Botanical Bestiary and give it a click. Next, we have the Dragon's Hoard issue number 23 from Legendary Games, $5.99 for 28 pages. And it's a monthly anthology of magic items, spells, monsters, and more for your 5th edition campaign. So this particular issue, we have some fun stuff to look at, including Basker's books. It says, behold the marvelous magics contained within the curated collection of the great and powerful master of the mystic arts and collector of curios, the legendary Basker V. Holmes. He has brought together an assortment of strange spells and unusual enchantments. So they list all the spells here. So he's got Memory Lapse, Gallant Inspiration, Quieting Weapons, Oath of Peace, Instant Enemy, Eagle Eye, Calcific Touch, which sounds fun, Hide Campsite. That could be really helpful. Negate Aroma, Yellow Sign. So we get to read just one item in the preview because the rest isn't shown here. So the Yellow Sign is a wondrous item, legendary. It acts as a perpetual symbol spell using the death effect. Creatures reduced to 0 hit points by this spell are restored to half of their hit points total and dominated as per the dominate monster by Hastur. This causes such creatures to seek to aid any obvious minions or worshippers of Hastur in sight, and any true worshipper of Hastur can command the affected creatures as if that worshipper had been the one to dominate them. In the case of conflicting commands issued, and it goes through what happens in that case, but it says there is a 1% chance when a creature fails the saving throw against the spell that Hastur takes note and for reasons of his own decides to control the target personally. So pretty cool if you want to work with the sort of domination of other characters using this symbol, sort of perpetual symbol spell. You could use this, the Yellow Sign. So some fun stuff. It's always a nice mixture of things in the Dragon's Hoard series. And I like supplements like this because they're not super tied to a setting, so you can plug and play pieces from this into any homebrew or existing published setting. And it's waiting for you in the video description links under Dragon's Hoard 23. Give it a click. Next we have Extreme Encounters, Weather and Terrain, Elemental Omnibus. So we previously looked at MageGate's individual books for their terrains and weather, where they've expanded on your options for those, but now they've combined some of those into a singular book just to make it even easier for you to grab all of them. So it's $14.99 for 88 pages for 5th edition, of course. And it says, enjoy quick, easy templates to spice up encounters, travel, and boss fights in a variety of weather and terrain. They previously were released, but now they're combined together, and you've got air, cold, earth, fire, and water all brought together. So pretty cool. You're basically getting the 4 elements plus cold. And it says, we also give you options to increase the threat level of our magical terrains right down to granting hostile creatures in them limited spell lists or other fun terrain-themed abilities. So cool. And they talk about how you can even convert this to 3rd edition, 3.5, or 4th pretty easily. Yeah, I mean, even just the visual nature of it. So it says, how much more epic and dramatic can you make your game simply by setting your encounters in a harsh, unforgiving land? They make it real. We were just talking about that in one of the previous books, describing the surroundings. Don't just say you're walking through the forest all the time, right? There can be so many more ways to bring that space to life. And once you do that, you don't know what your players are going to do, right? They might have an interest in learning more about the terrain, and that could lead to some really cool storytelling. So you can see it goes through all the different things we talked about: air, cold, earth, fire, water, and then you got the rules, how it works. The magical terrain talks about, dispel magic on the terrain, and what does that mean? Consecrated, desecrated ground, immunity, resistance, all the things you need to know about dealing with special terrain. And then it gives you a sort of a chart for DCs as well. You compare them to the CR, which is great because then it's really scalable, because if you're dealing with CR 1 or less, then the DC should be around 11 in that terrain. If you've got creatures as high as 10, then the DC should be 19, because you wouldn't be putting those CR 10 creatures in front of characters who can't handle it, hopefully. So first one is the Cloud Castle, and you get to see pretty much a lot of stuff related to that one, maybe even everything. So you've got sample air and flying creatures that you can put in there. air magic items, like picking out items that from other books, like the 250 best magic items that they publish as well. So all of those are listed here. So if you want to have like a whole air themed campaign, or you want to go to the plane of air, I mean, this book has got you covered, because it's got all the little pieces, including magic items that you'd find there. So it says storm magic, all air, cold, force, lightning, radiant, and thunder magic has its DC increased by +2 and deals an extra 1d6 damage of its type, regardless of whether the save is successful or not. In addition, its range is tripled. And then conjuration and teleportation magic is doubled, and then fire and necromancy magic is reduced in an air environment. So you have some changes, and this is up to you as the DM. So if you don't want to enforce all those rules, it's up to you. You can pick and choose things from here to implement to give it that feeling of being in maybe the plane of air. It says this terrain deals no damage unless its owner wills it, or it sails into contact with a storm, mountain, or other danger. However, as an action, the owner may command this terrain to deal his choice of 1d6 points of force, which is wind, lightning, or thunder damage, to a number of creatures per round equal to its CR. So they're writing it as though it's sort of like a layer almost, and then it has or regional effects or layer actions, etc. But again, you can make this plane wide if you really want to have like a plane of air situation going on. And it says a creature struck by force damage must succeed on a DC 15 dex save, or be blown 1d4 times 5 feet in the direction of the owner's choice. So just a lot of things going on for air. And then it talks about how to increase the threat, other creatures that might be there, like air elementals, celestials, cloud giants, coatls. So really helping you bring to life either just maybe it's a, as they said, a cloud castle, where it's just a castle floating in a cloud. It could be a room in a dungeon that is just air themed. It could be some mysterious bubble of air that's sort of going across the land and wreaking havoc. Maybe it's destroying some farming area or something. And so, once you're in this sort of whatever you designate as the area, these effects are happening. Or like I said, you can have a whole plane of air that has these effects. So I really like this book for the flexibility of the options, and it seems pretty thorough, especially if you have their other books, the 250 best magic items. You're going to also have those options for all those magic items to plug into these areas as well. So really, really fun, and I think you should look for it in the video description links under Extreme Encounters, Weather and Terrain, Elemental Omnibus, and give it a click. Next we have FlexTale Infinite Adventures Volume 3, Western Realm of Aquilae, from Infinium Game Studios and J. Evans Payne. It's on sale right now. It's normally $9.99, but it's only $4.99, and this is system agnostic. But it can work for D&D or Pathfinder, and it's 276 pages. And what it does is it really goes through a lot of points of interest on a map, because there's so many areas of Aquilae that have been defined by Infinium Game Studios. They've released a number of these books, and it literally is a massive world with so many points of interest and locations for you to visit. And this is the latest in the series, and I really doubt that there's ever been any sort of gazetteer series that has gone so in depth with so many places, so massive. I mean, just this book alone with 25 points of interest is 276 pages. So if you are somebody who really does not like to come up with the backgrounds of all the places on your maps, this series is great for you, because it literally just details everything, so that all you have to do is come up with the mechanics of stuff going on in the area, and maybe place some NPCs or some creatures there, and everything else is already figured out for you. So it says FlexTale Infinite Adventures is a concept that applies the Infinium Game Studio approach to points of interest on a fantasy TTRPG map. Detailed descriptions, endless permutations of things to keep things fresh, easy to use tables and resources, and plenty of ideas and inspiration. And so you're getting this is just part of the Western realm of Aquilae. Everything in the book was designed to be system and setting agnostic, so you can plug and play stuff out of here as well for other settings. And you can see each of the following points of interest gets 4 full dedicated pages of description, tools, variability, and resources. So you get various maps showing how things are broken out, activities, things you would discover, rarity of stuff, scaled effects, etc. So really cool, and these books seem to be quite popular. You can see just how much information is being given in here, and then the appendix has all sorts of events and quirks that can happen, encounters, and utility tables as well. So quick start map generator, quick start hallway encounter, quick start trap generator, curse generator. I mean, reusability for days with this book. I mean, it's just so cool. You get to see 20 of the 276 pages in here, and it talks about all the different resources. So you can pick a random point of interest by rolling on this D100 table, or you can just flip through the book and land on a page, or you can deliberately pick one. So there's player descriptive text, all kinds of like background information, so realm scale, and then you can see the different symbols for the different environments and rarities, etc. Obscured, all that stuff. Penalty category descriptions, threat levels, all of that stuff, variability. So just so many ways of setting everything up for you. But let's see if we can zoom into one of these pictures down here and give you some more detail. So yeah, because you're going to find out about environment, obscure, dealing with that, scaled effects. And they have these really cool charts so that if you're running any of these different settings, so Pathfinder 5th edition, Pathfinder 2E, OSR, Dungeon Crawl Classics, then it gives you the numbers for those for stronger, weaker, trained, untrained, etc. Activities, and then up here you've got the map. It says always a myth, 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙤 never actually existed. The Dread Maze Vault may have been erected in honor of another, or perhaps it had a different original purpose altogether. Over time, legend grew or was manufactured and spread about an emperor shaman to whom the structure was dedicated. And then you have forgotten legends. Someone named 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙤 once lived, but the current legend surrounding her is likely very far from the truth of who she was and how she lived. Today, very little of verifiable truth is known about the ruler, save for the fact that she was indeed in charge of a nation or tribe a very long time ago. Most other aspects of her story are either fabricated to enhance the myth or were true events that happened to others, which were grafted onto her legend. And then, these are all various choices for how things play out. So it says she maybe died, and you roll to find out more about how she died. I mean, lots of variability. So it's not like it's set in stone, everything in these zones that are marked on these maps, etc. You can really get some randomness and maybe variation, because of course legends evolve over time and change. So you've got Dark Hall of Greed, Dark Hall of Shame, Silence. So why are there so many Dark Halls? So there's probably some information on that. And same with the Doom Vaults. There's a Doom Vault of Famine, of Greed, of Rage, right? So really can spice up either a homebrew setting by taking some of these points of interest and putting them into your setting. Or, like I said, if you don't want to develop any kind of homebrew setting at all and you don't like any of the other published ones out there, then this one could really be gold for you, this series, because like I said, it gives you so much detail but also variability, so that it's not just as written all the time. And there's tools in here for other things like trap generators, etc. So check it out. It's under FlexTale Infinite Adventures Volume 3, Western Realm of Aquilae, in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Marza's Magical Collection from 4 Random Pixels, and it's $2 for the PDF, $16.55 for the softcover premium, $18.55 for the softcover premium, and then you get both the PDF and the softcover premium color for $18.55 as well. And it's by author Gabriel Marza, and it's for 5th edition, 83 pages. And it says over 60 magic items with pixel art illustration and a new enhancement mechanic to power up your items, and of course flavor descriptions to give each item more background and personality. And so you can see a couple of them here: Cloak of Many Layers, Shield of Shielding, and then you get the enhancements that you can add to the item to make it more powerful or different. And then you get a whole section on the lore, and you can see how the printed one looks pretty cool too. So if you like pixel art especially, you're going to enjoy this one. So there's no full-size preview, but we can zoom in here on the quick preview. So we got the Staff of Stuff. It says the staff has a sack attached to its top and can be wielded as a magic quarterstaff. You can magically store an item inside the staff. Using an action, you can place a non-living item no larger than a 1-foot cube inside the sack on top of the staff. That item disappears and is stored in an extra dimensional space. Only one item can be stored at a time. You can retrieve the item from the sack as an action. If you die or if the staff is destroyed, the item reappears just outside the sack. But then you can enhance it with the sack cannon. You can now store 2 extra items inside of the sack. While the sack has at least 1 item in its extra dimensional space, you can use your action to shoot the item out of the sack, making basically a ranged spell attack that does bludgeoning damage. And there's also vacuum storage as an enhancement. And then it says items lore, a neat staff that allows you to carry an extra item without actually having it on your person. It can be extremely useful when you need to carry something dangerous, such as a bottle of acid or a heavy item like a stone sphere. It's a pity you can't store more than 1 item inside, but I guess that's what the bags of holding are for, right? So you get some flavorful commentary in the items lore as well. So that might even be somebody selling the item reads all of that to you, basically, or speaks all of that to you. But yeah, umbrella swords, mage's rapier, and then we saw a bunch more down here: Cloak of Many Layers, Shield of Shielding. So yeah, it looks really fun, and it looks nice printed too with the pixelized sort of text and everything. So if you have fondness for those old pixel games, or even new ones, because there's new ones being created all the time, this could be really fun just to visually flip through. But if you need some items, I mean, $2 for this many items, I mean, 60 items is a good deal. So check it out. It's under Marza's Magical Collection in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have the Old Town Runner by 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙀 and Cliff Dunn. Its suggested price of 50 cents for 10 pages, and is part of the drip release strategy for the Free City of Vateshar and the Mega Continent of Zuul that 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧 has been doing recently, where you can buy these and get, you know, just a little taste of an area of that setting, so that you can over time become pretty much well versed. You know, we buy these massive books on settings and then we don't read every little bit of it. By releasing it this way, where it's just like a chapter every week or every other week or so, you can really absorb it, because there's so much less to read through. So if you read the whole thing, you've got it. And it says the Old Town Runner. In every city, there are sights and sounds that many of us take for granted. The Old Town Runner of Vateshar is a human example of local color. A man who races through the main thoroughfare of the city's oldest neighborhood, coattails streaming in the wind, pockets bulging with dried food, his only victuals. No one knows who he is or where he lives, because he never speaks, or he just runs, eats fruit, and sips water from the public pumps. What is he running from or toward? Sometimes the object and the fun is in the guessing. So you get to learn about the Old Town Runner, this NPC, suggested explanations for why he runs, advice for incorporating the Old Town Runner into your campaign, and then, of course, background on this setting. So whether you want to do the Mega Continent of Zuul and the Free City of Vateshar, or take the Old Town Runner and put it into your town. I mean, that's the beauty also of this drip release strategy, is you don't have to take everything from this setting. You can just take bits and pieces and incorporate them. So it says, each day at precisely 5 minutes past dawn, with literal clockwork, a curious sight can be observed emerging onto the Broad Way, the main thoroughfare in Vateshar's Old Town District. The Broad Way snakes through the Medina, Shakir Heights, the Anvil, and the other narrow, congested neighborhoods and enclaves that comprise Old Town, which is, as its name implies, the foundational and oldest borough of the Free City. The Broad Way itself is lined with quaint shops, brownstone dwellings, and the collected architectural accumulary of 30 centuries, including fountains, deteriorating columns, and statuary, and ancient illegible signage advertising who knows what from the distant age of the giant kings. It was into this tableau that sprang, or rather sprinted, a decade ago, the man known only as the Old Town Runner. The Old Town Runner spends his days running the length of Broadway, coattails streaming in the wind. No one knows who he is or where he lives because he never speaks except in apology. See below. He just runs, eats dried fruit, and sips water at the public pumps. So you get all the information. He's a CR18, by the way. And you can read more about him, but then it gives you why is he running. It gives you 3 options. The most mundane reason is that he isn't quite right in the head, poor thing. What metaphorical demons chased him over the course of his life are now made manifest in the poor wretch's mind, and he is forever running to stay ahead. Another one is his demons aren't metaphorical at all. The Old Town Runner is running in fear for his life. The sad tale of the runner began a dozen years ago when he was elected to become captain of his neighborhood Proctorial College. Those ancient civic fraternal organizations serve as focal points for monthly festivals, etc. The Old Town Runner was an inattentive, irresponsible custodian of the sacred duties to which he was sworn, more interested in the glory and popularity of leading his neighborhood association than acting as the part of a responsible leader. Unfortunately for him, the neighborhood's household spirits took note, and they have haunted the unfortunate Scofflaw ever since. So he gets literally chased. And I'm not going to read all the choices because the whole book is here on preview for you to get. And you can grab the whole thing for 50 cents at the suggested price. So really fun idea. I like the notion of, you can have your characters just shopping in Vadishar or whatever city or town, and one of them gets bumped into, and then the next day it happens again. And it's like, who is this person that's constantly running around here? Every time we come to shop or do something or solve a mystery in the neighborhood, we see this guy running. And so the party could get obsessed with it, maybe even try to help him be able to stop running. So if you want to find out, you're going to have to run to the video description links and click Old Town Runner. Give it a try. All right, so we've got Rise of the Mimic Moon as our next title, and it is from Kobold Press, $3.99 for 16 pages. Author Brian Susskind. And it says, everyone sees a bad moon rising. A voice from the void threatens. Aberrations rain from the sky. No object in your sight can be trusted to be what it seems. An apocalypse looms in Rise of the Mimic Moon. The 16-page supplement provides the bones of an entire campaign that will shake and shape change your entire setting. So you've got tools to make the apocalypse either the center of a campaign or one powerful threat of danger that your player characters must act decisively to stop, including 8 new magic items, 6 new spells, 5 new mimic stat blocks, and then of course that campaign outline. So just even the 5 new mimic stat blocks is exciting, to have those and the spells and the magic items all together. I mean, there's a lot in here for $3.99, and this gorgeous artwork. I mean, mimics are such a fun, popular creature, from Dungeons and Dragons, and so to have a whole moon that looks like one is pretty cool. So it gives you the introduction, and it says, a new moon appears in the sky, meteorites crest to the ground, and a flood of mimics spreads across the land, consuming everyone in their way. What are the mimics hunting? What brought the mimic moon here? Who can stop them? I mean, what a fun idea that there's this moon that's a mimic moon, and it's causing all these mimics to appear and cause things, because it's a planetoid-sized entity awakened at the dawn of creation by unknown or forgotten gods. Over the eons, it has been called many things, including Orimong the Eater, but those who dwell in the void call it Odlio. And though, a species similar to the common mimic, Odlio long ago lost its shape-changing ability and is permanently locked into a spherical form. The moon wanders through space, through the void between planes, hunting the gargantuan beasts native to those realms and the vessels mortals use to cross that inky darkness. So then you can set it up, the rise of it. The first question the DM must answer is, who stole the seedling? This probably should be a group who are already antagonists of the PCs. The seedling possesses 1,000 years of imbued power, and nearly any evil, cult, or nihilistic lich would want to control a planet-destroying entity. So there's apparently a seedling connected to this moon, and some antagonist or group has taken it, and so the PCs are probably going to have to get the seedling and either return it or do something to cause this to stop wreaking havoc, this Mimic Moon. So you've got options here in a list, including a cabal of wizards. Wants to control the newborn Mimic Moon, maybe with the seedling, or they want to drain the seedling of infinite magical power. So you can pick from this list of who's behind it and what they want to do with it, or you can come up with your own thing, of course. And then how did they do it? It says method of travel spells such as Gate and Plane Shift, or an ancient gateway connected to ruins on Olio's surface. Void ships capable of sailing into space in between planes, so you could even tie that into Spelljammer. And then it says how to use it in a campaign. So it appears as a new moon in the sky, which already is going to be like a major deal, right? If you have a setting and there's only ever been one moon, then here comes a new one. I mean, that's going to be literally jaw-dropping for people. Like, we have to deal with a moon. That's a big situation. So I love this. I think it's especially fun because it gives you so many opportunities to deal with mimics, to deal with planner stuff. You can have even wild space from Spelljammer involved, and you can thread it into your liking. So the nice thing is they haven't said it has to be exactly this reason, it has to be exactly done this way. They've given you options that you can choose and thread together, or you can take bones of what you already have in your existing campaign or homebrew setting, or even a published setting, and say, oh, I'm going to pick this person, their faction, and they're the reason they found the seedling because they have portals already, and maybe they have a portal that goes to the Mimic Moon, or whatever you invent, and then you can weave it in. And again, just the spectacle of saying to your players, you wake up from the camp and you look in the middle of the night and you see that now there's two moons. Why is that? And then sprawling out from there, dealing with all of these rampaging mimics and uncovering how to stop it. I mean, because this is, if you watch movies, where they're disaster movies and things are really just not good, like, earthquakes happening and people falling, beneath the ground, and just buildings toppling. And I mean, this is kind of that extinction level event where, you've got to do something or everybody's dead. And I think that could be so fun to play out. I really am excited by this one. So look for it in the video description links under Rise of the Mimic Moon and give it a click. Next, we have Shotglass Rounds number 12, the Goblin Jarl. And it is, as usual with the Shotglass Rounds, it's got stats and everything you need to run it as either 5th edition or OSR. So really, really cool. And it's on sale right now, normally $15, but it's $10. And it's by author Stephen Thompson and Laid Back DM. And it is 66 pages. And, as I said, OSR, Old School Essentials, 5th edition, whatever you want to use it for. So the Goblin Jarl is a complete multi-part second-level adventure with new monsters, new magic items, and multiple new and old school maps. It's an old school style adventure designed to be used with 5th edition, Old School Essentials, or other OSR games. And it comes with all those stats. It can be played as a one-shot or the first adventure in the old school style Dungeon Doomhaven mini campaign designed to take PCs from 1st to 5th level. So really fun stuff, and I'm excited to look inside with you guys. So you can see how it's set up. It's got the sort of background, and then it gives you information on the adventure itself, so part 1 and part 2, and then you got the appendices, which the first one is the monsters in 5th edition stats, and then the second one is the monsters in Old School Essentials or OSR format, and then looks like some information on the Verona province, maps, etc. So it gives you all kinds of stuff, like, and they use I think they use colors in here to represent so it calls out here, you see 5e, and it gives you the athletics check, and then if you're doing Old School Essentials, you get a different kind of strength check that you would do. So yeah, you can easily see this stuff. It's so cool. Advantage, disadvantage, etc., damage, experience points. Just again, giving you all that information to deal with the fact that you're going to see 2 sets of stats for stuff. So really fun. There's a Goblin Heist, it looks like, and then you've got this Doomhaven Inn with multiple floors. So these maps could be used for other things as well. So reusability there. And then here you can see an example of the Nothin Goblins. They've got for the 5th edition, it's an intimidation check, but for OSE, it's a charisma ability check. So really easy, really formatted well and easy to get both of those things going. So it says the rain is constant erratic drumbeat on the roof above. Luckily, your 2nd story room at the Doomhaven Inn is somewhat cushioned from the noise. The bunk beds here remind you of boarding school or the army, but they're warm, and your compatriot doesn't snore too badly. Your party arrived in Doomhaven Village in the pouring rain, and you're still here because of it. Hopefully it will let up sometime soon so you can get out and explore the small valley beyond the village's palisade. As you mull over dreams of exploration and treasure hunting, you hear a high-pitched scream from downstairs. Grabbing your sword, you leap out of bed and rush into the 2nd floor common room, only to see goblins. 2 of them searching the area unsuccessfully and about to try one of the nearby bedroom doors. They're wearing light leather armor with an odd red sigil on their chests. "Crap," says the first one in common. "We're sprung." The second smiles and draws a wicked-looking blade. "No problem," he says. "The ones in their nightshirt." Then the other doors open and your companions step out, weapons at the ready. The goblins visibly gulp. So you're about to have combat with some goblins, and it talks about what's going on and gives you all the details. I won't give you spoilers here, but it just looks really fun, and I like how it reads, and how you can expand this into a full, multiple adventures in a row to go from 1 to 5 if you want. But again, reusability, not just in the maps that are in here, but the fact that it's old school essentials OSR or 5th edition. So maybe you have games going each month or whatever. One table's 5th edition, one's OSR. This is going to do double duty for you, and it's just really fun and always well put together from Laid Back DM. So check it out. It's under Shotglass Rounds 12, the Goblin Jarl, in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Wild Hunt from Mammoth Factory, $9 for 41 pages, and it says an ancient oath is broken and the hunt is on. So could be really fun. Says it provides a dungeon master with everything they need to run this enchanted adventure for characters of level 6. The story can be seamlessly inserted into any existing campaign or run as a unique standalone adventure. Includes 7 gridded battle maps, VTT tokens and paper minis, original artwork. So, I mean, that's just a lot you're getting for the $9. So really cool. I love when you get all that VTT stuff with your purchase as well. So they don't have a full-size preview, so we'll zoom into the quick preview and see what we can see for you here. So they've got the introduction, plug-in, or keep playing, background, adventure overview. So it looks like the adventure's in 3 different parts. And it says what happens in each section and roughly how long. It looks like a half hour time for certain parts. And then you got part 1, Antlewood. And then... yeah, so look at the gorgeous layout. It looks beautifully designed, easy to read. So it says part 1, investigation, negotiation, role-playing. The characters explore and investigate the rustic forest town of Antlewood. Part 2, Gwyll Forest. The characters delve into the enchanted forest of Gwyll to seek out Everald Lowen. And then in part 3, the ancient oaths of Gwyll are shattered and the characters must race to defeat the Lord of the Hunt. So that could be really fun. It says, in ancient times before the great collapse that saw the civilized realms of mankind retreat to a handful of remaining bastions, the dragon lord Gondalar ruled his domain from a vast throne of plundered riches. Eventually, the dragon's power waned and he was defeated, but his vast hoard remained undisturbed, its location lost to time. Since then, the Gondal's hoard has been a fixture of folklore and the constant desire of treasure hunters and adventurers across the continent. But while many have sought out the legendary treasure, none have claimed it for their own. So, going to be looking for that treasure probably as part of this. So we'll read a little bit about the town of Antlewood. It says, nestled between a pair of gentle mossy slopes and cut through by a rushing river, you can see the shapes of a small town emerging between the trees up ahead. The low, curved rooftops of its dwellings are almost entirely camouflaged with loam and creeping vines, and the largest of its cladded stone buildings is crowned by a great twisting oak tree. Dangling in the trees nearby are an assortment of bugbear skulls, tied to one another by a length of rope and left to the mercy of the elements. So yeah, it gives you the feel of this little town, and that they deal with bugbears because they've hung these skulls up to kind of show that they've been successful at defeating them. That should keep the bugbears at least away from the town. And I love the artwork in here. It looks like some custom artwork that's really beautiful. Nice layout. I love the little frame on this campaign guide to the Merchant of Death over here. You've got various tables to roll and get information. Yeah, it seems like it could be really, really fun. Love the artwork that they've got going on here, and I think it's just going to be a good time. And it's only $9 to get all this stuff, all those VTT tokens, paper minis, 7 gridded battle maps, etc. So look for it in the video description links under Wild Hunt and give it a click. Well, that's our last DriveThruRPG title for the week. We're going to move on to DM Skilled, but before we do, please like the video for the algorithm, leave me a comment. I will respond to all those personally, and subscribe to the channel, as well as share the video out there on your socials and with your friends so we can get as many eyeballs as we can on these awesome books that come out every week. And click those links in the video description. There's so many great titles we've talked about. Click them, read through, see which ones are going to work for you, and give them a purchase. And if you purchase anything after you click those links, even if it's a book we didn't talk about, it's going to help the channel through a small affiliate fee. So we do appreciate when you do your shopping with us. And of course, we have 6 books of our own that you could consider purchasing as well to help us out. You can see all of those at splinterverse.com, or you can read about them through the links in the video description as well. And we have a Dragonlance book coming up later this year. I can't wait for you to see that. It's a massive book with so much stuff in it to support you doing a 5th edition Dragonlance campaign. It's designed to coincide with the upcoming Wizards release, and of course give you opportunities to do things on your own in Krynn as well. So as far as our books go, we have The Swarms of the Multiverse, which is wonderful amounts of creatures. There's over 70 new creatures in there, plus all of their counterparts, the swarm counterparts. So you get 140 stat blocks total. So all of the creatures in there are brand new. They're not reskins. We really try to make them distinct and different. And those swarms that they make are documented as well. So you have the opportunity to play the individual creature or the swarm that they form or control. Maybe they just control swarms. We have things like hosts in there that are symbiotic relationships between a creature and a swarm. So you've got information on that. You've got environmental swarms, which don't even have hit points. They're just more like hazards you have to encounter. We have rules for creating your own swarms that are balanced for 5th edition. So much stuff in there. Bonus magic items, demi-planes, diseases, factions. It's just packed, and it's print or digital. Then we have our platinum best-selling Feywild Companion, which is over 150 pages of everything you could want for Fey realm, Feywild, Fey encounters, whether it's creatures, full adventures, encounters, spells, subclasses, a whole new domain of delight. I mean, this book has it all, and it's print or digital. Then we've got our other platinum bestseller, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, which is everything dragon themed. So you get subclasses, one for each class. You get spells, horde magic items, draconic gifts, a new familiar, adventure hooks, trinkets. I mean, the list just goes on. I can't possibly cover everything in these books. You have to check them out. And then we've got Potions Unlocked, which is print or digital, and it's over 100 pages, trying to make potions more fun. It gives you some optional rules to liven them up. It gives you the smells, the tastes, the labels, all the different aspects of a potion are detailed, so you can get really into it if you want, even how to make the potions. And then we've got not only all the potions and short stories about each one and how they originated, but we've got potion vendors and potion themed locations, so you could have a whole potion campaign, or even if you just need to plug and play like a potion shop in the middle of your campaign, we've got a map for that, as well as vendors and characters that you can use for those situations. So it's really fun. And then we've also got Van Richten's Realm of Lineages, which has 4 new lineages you can use in any setting, and they're very conflict driven, so your players will really enjoy playing those out and acting out the different conflicts that are innate to those lineages. And then we give you information on how to string multiple lineages together, or how to remove a lineage if you get tired of it, or you just want to have that happen in the middle of a game, which could be a really fun roleplay experience as well. And then finally we have Secrets of the Draugr, which is a marriage of the Drow and the Duergar into a brand new race that is the best of both worlds, as well as its own feeling. It's kind of an oppressed race a little bit, so you get these backgrounds that are connected to that. You get some stat blocks of NPCs, you get deities that they have their own deities, you get their own fortune telling method that they use, and it's just really fun. So we hope you check all those out, and we really appreciate you watching. Now let's move on to DM's Guild. First we have Accursed, or Accursed, a Sorcerous Origin from Peter Caramico and Animancy Press. It's $3 for 3 pages, and it says your power stems from an age-old curse upon your lineage, or perhaps something more recent. Whatever the case, you've learned to live with it, and now bend its power for your own will. Bane, hex, and insult your enemies with sapping words. Be an enchantment school of magic prodigy. Recover sorcery points when you cast certain spells, and let your curses be irresistible with Accursed, a Sorcerous Origin. So it sounds like a fun little subclass for your sorcerer, and they've got a holiday sale where you can get 50% off with the link. So if you click our link and then click the 50% off link, you'll get some additional discount off of it, $1.50 presumably. So looking inside, you can see that you get 4 features at first level for your sorcerer, and then 1 at the other levels, as well as a new spell called Phantom Prosthetic. So we can only see 2 of the 3 pages here in the preview, so we'll read a little bit of those early features. So it says, starting at first level, when your curse manifests, you gain the ability to curse others, momentarily sapping them of their competency once per dawn. When you see a creature within 60 feet who can hear you succeed on an attack roll or a saving throw, you can use your reaction to curse them. The cursed creature must then subtract your charisma modifier from their attack roll or saving throw. At second level, you can spend sorcery points to duplicate this effect on a number of creatures equal to your proficiency bonus by spending a number of sorcery points equal to the number of creatures within range that you wish to curse in this way. So pretty cool. I like how the charisma modifier is worked into that, and how you can spend sorcery points to improve it later, so more targets. Then it says, starting at first level, when your curse becomes manifest to you, your closeness to the curse gives you an affinity to certain spells, so you get some additional spells. And then at first level, when your curse becomes manifest to you, the saving throw DC when you cast spells from the spells of the curse table becomes 14 if it isn't already higher. So that's helpful with your saving throw DCs. And some of the spells you get are Bane, Fairy Fire, Hex, Mind Spike, Suggestion, Bestow, Curse. So you're getting a little bit of the Warlock feel here, which is cool, worked into your Sorcerer. I think it looks really fun, especially Halloween time, right? This could be a really fun subclass to play with if you want to have a Halloween one-shot or a party. And the price is going to be pretty low. I mean, $3, or you can maybe get it for $1.50 with this link down below. So very cool. Look for it in the video description links under Accursed and give it a click. Next we have Children of the Abyss, Fiendish Plain Touched by Benjamin Wales, and it's $1.95 for 7 pages. It features 4 subraces found in previous editions of the game, including the Feyre, which is an elf subrace, Tanaruk, which is an orc subrace, and then the Duergagon and Maelluth, which are dwarf subraces, as well as the Whistling for halfling. It says, in addition to unique traits for each subrace, each section contains information drawn from the lore of previous editions. Along with these subraces comes the Hellborn Sorcerous Origin, a subclass for sorcerers whose magic comes from a fiendish ancestor or other unholy influence in their bloodline. Hellborn sorcerers become increasingly fiendish as they advance in their class, and some of their features are influenced by the nature of their dark progenitor. Although this subclass is particularly appropriate for the subraces described in this document, it has no special restrictions and is available to sorcerers of all races. So that's cool. And then there's some feats in here that are associated with the subraces as well. So really cool. It's always great to have stuff from previous editions come back, because there's a lot of people that played past editions that are like, if I just had, the Tanaruk or this or that, they're missing something. And so I always love seeing it converted, and it's awesome that the DMs Guild allows that. So looking at what's in here, we'll read a little bit about it, but you get to see in the preview, you get to see 4 of those 7 pages, so you can read quite a bit about these subraces. So let's read about the Feyre a little bit. It says, in Faerun, the Feyre have a distinct heritage and history. They are almost universally descended from the Sun Elves of House Delardragrath, who ruled Erland in what is now the forest kingdom of Cormanthor. The Delardragrath elders made pacts with demons to increase their power, producing half-fiend children called the Daemon Fae. The Daemon Fae in turn gave birth to the less powerful Feyre. In time, pairings between the Feyre and the Delardragrath and other clans led to their demonic lineage spreading to other elven houses. So that's how those came to be. And then they have certain traits because they have sort of demonic blood mixed in with their elvish stuff. And you get an ability score increase, you get poison immunity, so you're immune to poison damage and the poison condition. And then you get something called Skin Dancer. You can cast Alter Self once, and you regain the use of this feature once you complete a long rest. When you cast the spell using this feature, you can only select the Change Appearance option. If you lose concentration on the spell, you revert to your natural form. And then you get to speak, read, write, Abyssal. So that could be helpful too, especially if you're traveling any of the lower planes. So very cool. And that's just one. I want you to come here and read some of the others. And don't forget there's a sorcerer subclass in here, there's feats, etc. So you'll want to check it out. It's in the video description links under Children of the Abyss. Give it a click. Next we have Gravehurst, a Halloween adventure by Z-Rave and Apocalypse. It is $3.99 suggested price for the 8 pages. It says, welcome to Gravehurst, an eerie village that rests near tainted grounds of necromantic magic. The players are escorting a merchant who wants to set up a trading post in this distant village, but a problem arises requiring the efforts of daring adventurers. Come on a Halloween journey where the players fight against pumpkins and other creatures infused with necromancy. So it's a 3-hour adventure for characters between 3rd and 6th level. It says, since the damage and safety of characters in tiers 1 and 2 are vastly different, we have included scaling. So you've got some scaling to help you with, a spread of levels there. You got 9 NPCs, 5 monsters, 4 maps, 2 magic items, and of course the awesome Halloween adventure in here. So looking inside, you got a summary cast of characters with little thumbnails of them, which is helpful, and then you got a map right off the bat that's numbered and giving you some information on all of those. You see sort of a garden map. This looks like it could be fun with a pumpkin patch going on there. And then you've got haunted fields. That looks pretty cool. It looks like a big pumpkin there. And then you've got an Eater of the Dead, Souls of the Dead, some CR5s down here. And then you got a pumpkin explosion. And there's a Morning Star of the Radiant Dawn martial weapon magic item. And it says Souls of the Dead. If the party is level 5 or higher, the second phase of the fight now begins. The Souls of the Dead are hungry for more souls. So there you go. If you have a higher party, you have an additional step in your adventure, and they've got resolution rewards, etc. So fun stuff. Let's scroll up and read a little bit more about some of this stuff. I just love this map here. So let's read about Mirabel's Farm. It says Mirabel's Farm has a large field of pumpkins surrounded by a tall iron fence. Near the center of the field stands an enormous scarecrow. The gate is locked with a thick chain and padlock. This can be unlocked with a thieves' tools check. Mirabel is at her home stewing in her anger. If the party offers to help her find the thief and recover her pumpkin, she grants access to her field. If a character tries to get a read on Mirabel, an insight check will reveal that she is conflicted about allowing them onto her field. She desperately wants her pumpkin back, but there may be something that she's trying to hide. It says there's a lot of clues that you can find in the pumpkin patch. It says the skeletal pain flute is partially buried in the dirt. Detect magic reveals that the entire field radiates a mild necromantic magic. If the players investigate the field, they find shards of bone. So all sorts of stuff going on in this field. Feels very Halloween, although it could just be Ravenloft or some other place as well. So don't let the association with a holiday prevent you from getting this if you don't think you're going to have time to use it before Halloween. And Halloween comes around every year, so even if you want to use it for Halloween and you don't get to it this year, you could have it for next year too. So it looks really fun. I love holiday themed stuff. I think you just can never have enough of that. You never know who's going to come visit you, or you might be going to a con, or some circumstance where you need a one shot, and having it themed is really cool. And I always think if it's themed, then you can even dress your table up a little bit. You might even have some little pumpkins on the table or whatever, right? So you can really get into it. Even some straw for the scarecrow or whatever, right? So looks like it could be a lot of fun. Love the cover. It's under Gravehurst in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Halloween one-shot, Crypt of the Blood Mother. It's a first level one-shot that will uncover the secrets of a terrifying crypt seeped in blood magic deep in the forest. And it's by Aidan Blountso. And it's $4.95 for 11 pages. And it says it's a short one-shot adventure that will take a party of first-level adventurers through roughly 4 hours of adventure in a dark pine forest and a forgotten crypt packed with secrets and strange rituals. Will the adventurers rescue their lost navigator and fight against the evil presence of blood magic and its corrupted servants, or embrace it and use it against their unseen enemies? And it says designed to be easy to read and use, so you get clear and easy to understand hooks for your adventurers to get them involved in the adventure and avoid any "why are we even doing this" issues. Clear descriptions of the scenes and situations so you're never lost in the details, portraits of key NPCs, and all sorts of other good stuff. So, it's nice to have Halloween one-shots. And what I love about Halloween ones is they fit for Ravenloft too, because Ravenloft is like Halloween 24/7, right? A little bit. I mean, Ravenloft can be other things, but it's always darker. So you have the table of contents here, so you can see you've got a synopsis, history, some background, preparing the adventure. So quite a bit of prep, which I appreciate. Then the adventure is broken into 3 parts, and then you've got some session notes at the end as well as important NPCs. So it says the crypt awaits and using this document, and then of course your adventure synopsis, and then history of Martha. I mean, look at the fun artwork down here for the Blood Mother and Martha. And then you got preparing the adventure and the campsite, etc. So you only get to see 4 of the 11 pages, but it looks like a decent selection here to look at. So it says all of the characters are part of a caravan heading towards Arendelle, a small town further to the west. Their reasons for joining the caravan can be their own, or you can use one of the reasons provided below. And that includes transporting valuable goods for profit, or running from a disaster, or answering a call for heroes, or being a team of investigators. So all of those could work well. So let's read the flavor text of the campsite, which is the very beginning of part 1, so I'm not really spoiling anything for you. It says 3 wagons struggle on the unkempt road leading from your home in Estenwield to a distant town of Arendelle to the west. Thus far, your navigator, Baldrin, has steered clear of the worst of these wildlands, but you can't shake the feeling of being watched. Surrounded by gnarly pine trees, the woods themselves seem conscious, ever watchful, and now a sense of dread has taken hold on the small caravan here in the middle of nowhere. You shiver at the thought of being surprised by something sinister away from the safety of 𝙬𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙧. But you knew the risks when you signed up for caravan duty. It's been 5 days since you left 𝙬𝙤𝙬𝙧 behind, and already supplies are starting to dry up. According to your navigator, Arendelle is still a 3 days ride to the west, and you have noticed how he too hasn't been uneasy for days. But for now, gathered around your make-do campsite, you prepare to settle down for the night and rest your weary bodies for the journey ahead. So, very cool little situation there. It's moody. There's these olden town names, and it's like, oh gosh, we're gonna run out of food, and everybody seems uneasy, and we're feeling watched, and this can't be good, right? And that's the right kind of mood you need to get into a Halloween-themed adventure. It says the Wicker Charm. Any boggle that attacks the character in possession of the Wicker Charm does so with disadvantage. A character can use an action to present the Wicker to a boggle, who must then succeed on a Wisdom saving throw or flee. So there's going to be some boggles and a Wicker Charm. Yeah, I think this is really flavorful and fits well for Halloween, or like I said, Ravenloft. So I think you should check it out. It's under Halloween one-shot, Crypt of the Blood Mother, in the video description links. Give it a click. Next, we have the Living Weapon, a replacement for the Monk. The Body and the Weapon of the Soul, it says. And it's by Scott McCall Gilman. Suggested price of $1.95 for 14 pages. And, the Monk is one of those classes in 5th edition that people have had problems with and feel like it needs some tweaks. So every once in a while we'll see people take some of the problematic classes and put them on Deem's Guild with revisions. And so this one is another attempt at that. And it looks pretty thorough, because there's 9 different subclasses which are renamed from the ones that have been published, including rebalanced versions of the Way of the Four Elements, Way of the Open Hand, and Way of the Shadow from the Player's Handbook. And then 6 additional subclasses that either combine and reflavor ideas or create more culturally diverse options. And it's non-linearly scaling, sustainable resource called Discipline, which replaces Key from the Monk, replenishes on a long rest, and allows for easier tracking and gameplay. Increased sustainability for the Monk over the adventuring day. You may enter stances that allow you to perform Flurry of Blows, Patient Defense, and Step of the Wind for a minute, which allows the hand to keep up with the damage, defense, or maneuverability, or of equivalent martial classes, but not to outperform them in more than one. And it says flavor inspired by hand combat from all over the world and unarmed combatants in media. So yeah, there's been some challenges with the Monk being maybe not the most appropriate in terms of naming and design, and so it's nice to also see that this is diversifying it a bit and making it less tied to what we would think of in the real world. So that's always helpful as well, I think. I think not just because of this, the feelings around it, which, it's a good to address those, but also if you think about it from like a role play point of view, right? The more widespread the idea is, the more you can engage it as a player into something specific. If it's already very specific, then it's harder to sort of tweak it to align to your role play idea. The word monk, it conjures, religion. It conjures maybe even a particular religion in a particular part of the world. And so that's kind of narrowing your focus down, right? And so when you broaden it and call it, whatever it's being called here, the Living Weapon or whatever, I think there may be another name in here somewhere, you are giving the role play opportunity to your players to really tie it into whatever they want, which is ultimately the goal, is about letting your players tell a story with your help as a DM, right? So let's look inside and see a little bit about this class. It says living weapons have a strange relationship to the fundamental magic of the world. Many manipulate it outright, attuning themselves to elemental, spiritual, or religious forces. Others simply tap the innate magic of the world, as a dragon breathes fire and it cannot be explained. The mystery of how a hand may remain unseen or manages to stay clear-eyed in the face of enchantments or illusions has never been unraveled. Some say it is merely a skill and training, feats that anyone could achieve if they tried hard enough. Others think they harness secret techniques taught by unseen masters. So you can see right there already, that description is more broad, right? So you're not locked into your attachments to the word monk, right? So there's all the cultural stuff too, but I want people, because there's a lot of debate over that, right? I want people to also think about how people have attachments to words. So the word monk has a lot of attachments to it for people, good, bad, indifferent. And so descriptions like this move it away from the word that has attachments and give you a brand new word, or two words here, living weapon, which can mean a lot of different things and can be widely interpreted. And so I like that it's broadening it and really taking it away from a word that might be a problem. So really cool. So looking at some of the stuff, so you got creating a living weapon. As you create your living weapon, consider how you became a master of unarmed combat. Some living weapons studied in special academies, honing their skills alongside great masters. Others are self-taught, tapping into a well of determination that pushes them past what a normal person could achieve. So again, great options for the background. Then you got your revised sort of class chart here, quick setups, and then you get into some of the defenses, or the features. So says, while you are wearing no armor and not wielding a shield, your AC equals 10 plus your dex modifier plus your wisdom modifier. Martial arts at first level, your practice of martial arts gives you mastery of combat styles that use unarmed strikes and martial arts weapons, which are short swords and any simple melee weapons that don't have the two-handed or heavy properties. You gain the following benefits while you are unarmed or wielding only martial arts weapons and you aren't wearing armor or wielding a shield. You can use dex instead of strength for attack and damage rolls of your unarmed strikes and monk weapons. You can roll a d4 in place of the normal damage of your unarmed strike or monk weapon. When you use the attack action with an unarmed strike or martial arts weapon on your turn, you can make one unarmed strike as a bonus action. And then you get into discipline starting at second level. You get a discipline, which is your subclass, and then it gives you kind of how to calculate flurry of blows and patient defense and step of the wind. And then unarmored movement, your speed increases by 10 feet while you are not wearing armor or wielding a shield. This bonus increases when you reach certain levels. And you can move along vertical surfaces or across liquids at the 6th level. Oh, okay, I mixed it up. So discipline is something else. So living weapon archetypes are at 3rd level. So starting at 2nd level, your self-control and attunement to your environment and greater focus is represented by discipline. That's right. Discipline is a replacement for key. I got those mixed up. So you get 4 points of discipline, and then it moves from there. And then you get at 3rd level, you can use your reaction to deflect or catch the missile when you are hit by a ranged weapon attack. When you do so, the damage you take from the attack is reduced by 1d10 plus your dex modifier plus your living weapon level. And then you got ability score improvements, slow fall, extra attacks, stunning strikes. At 5th level, you can precisely strike an opponent's weak points. So I'm not going to read it all, but it's here for you to read. I mean, the whole book is here. You've got the acrobat, you've got the 4 elements. Again, some of these are revisions to the existing subclasses, but if you play monk, if you've avoided playing monk, if you want to give your players an option, you have maybe your players haven't played monk, but you're not sure if they're avoiding it because of problems with it. You can give this to them and see what they think. Or, you can also make NPCs using this and just kind of try out some of the abilities using the NPC stat blocks and see what you think of it and see if it works for you, and then roll it out to your players. So a lot of options here, especially how to pay what you want price. So look for it in the video description links under Living Weapon and give it a click. Next we have the Maenad, or maybe pronounced differently than that. I'm not sure, but I'm just going to say Maenad. It's a psionic race by Daryl Dominguez, and it is 95 cents for 7 pages. And it says, as part of the psionic races of the multiverse, Maenads have a special connection to sound, and as creatures who can see it, they have a different perception of the world. This is why it is said that only Maenads know what the word passion looks like. The first in a group of releases for the upcoming Psychic class, the Maenad presented here, make their return with a unique feature that handles psionic energy dice. So you get the full race, including unique mechanics that harness psionic energy dice from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, special race flavored psionic powers, rules for these psionic powers, 2 racial feats that enhance your natural abilities, and ideas for integrating it in other settings. So pretty cool. Let's see what it says about the Maenads inside. So it says, sound is both elegant and harmful, and Maenads have a unique attachment to it. As creatures who can see sound, they have a different perception of the world. Instead of explaining what they hear, they use colors to describe what was said, meant, and intended. Amongst them stand some of the best artists and soldiers. So just imagine role-playing that. There's you sort of go into an alleyway to overhear something, maybe not with the rest of the party, and then you have to come back out and describe what you heard. So you're not only repeating the words, but you're maybe saying, the language was very red, maybe, you're using red to represent like it was very angry or whatever, right? And so your party has to kind of start to learn from you, like what colors go with what, and it could just be a fun, different way of speaking and interacting with the other players. So, of course, creating your character and then some of the abilities. But I just want to scroll through quickly so you can kind of see the whole thing, because the whole book is here for you to review. So it talks about psionic disciplines, psionic powers, and dealing with those, and then how you might incorporate the Maenads in, the Domains of Dread and Ravenloft, or Eberron, or the Radiant Citadel, or Forgotten Realms, etc. And then, of course, psionic powers and feats. So one of the feats is enhanced synesthesia. Your synesthesia is enhanced to the point where you can see creatures thanks to the noise they make. You gain blind sight with a range of up to 20 feet. So tying into the Maenads, some of the abilities that we're going to look at. But the prerequisite, of course, is being a Maenad. You got psionic outburst, and then these are some separate psionic powers. So you got energy transmutation, physical enhancement, thunder blast, and nice artwork there to enjoy. So with the traits, you get a linguistic focus. As an action, you can focus on the sounds around you to speak and understand any language for 1 hour. Moreover, when you speak, any creature that can hear you and that knows at least one language can understand you. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. And it says you have a resistance to thunder damage. A Maenad's mind is so strong that it has a relative amount of natural psionic power, unlike other creatures. The psionic power grants you 2 psionic energy dice, which are D6, and they are added to any psionic energy dice you have from somewhere else. These dice are used to fuel your powers. The psionic energy die is expended when you use it. You regain your expended psionic energy when you finish a long rest, and the number increases as you level. And you can use the energy transmutation psionic power and the thunder blast ones that are listed in this book as well. And then lastly, you have synesthesia. The unique way your brain processes sound allows you to see the emotions behind sound. This grants you advantage on all insight checks made to identify the emotions or meaning behind the sounds a creature makes. Also, you have advantage on perception checks to identify the source of a sound. So really interesting how this race is connected to sound and then psionics. I think those two do go well together. And I enjoy the artwork and layout in here, and that it seems to be also leading toward more psionic stuff from Daryl in the future. So I think you should check it out. It's under Maenad in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Oath of the Dragon from John Bryant, $2.95 for 4 pages. It says, be a knight shaped by draconic power and majesty as an Oath of the Dragon paladin. Serve with a dragon or a draconic ideal, stand fast against dragonkind, and protect your allies from a worm's mighty breath. This supplement includes a custom NPC using the subclass features and a custom magic item. So very cool. So yeah, you're getting all those abilities, plus you get the NPC stat block and a magic item. That's always helpful with these subclasses, to have an an NPC example, so you can either introduce the players to the subclass that way, and then the next campaign you offer the subclass to people, or later you offer it if you're allowed to switch subclasses, I guess, or maybe they haven't gotten to the subclass yet in their leveling. Or you can just use it without ever introducing the subclass, just to have another NPC. So super helpful. And then a magic item. I mean, you can always use more of those. So it says paladins who take the oath of the dragon are drawn to the power, majesty, and wisdom of dragons. You serve alongside a dragon as a respected lieutenant, or you serve their ideal, fighting for a world shaped by a draconic vision. Other dragons stand against you, but you've trained tirelessly to protect yourself and others from dragon's wrath and to defeat those who hold a different vision. So then you have the tenets, of course, like all paladins. Then you get oath spells like absorb elements, elemental weapon, elemental bane, stone skin. And then it says you gain the following channel divinity options: abjure dragons and dragonkind. You can use your channel divinity to castigate draconic creatures. As an action, you present your holy symbol, and each dragon and dragonkind of your choice within 30 feet of you that you can hear must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature is turned for 1 minute or until it takes damage. A turned creature must spend its turns trying to move as far away from you as it can, and it can't willingly end its move in a space within 30 feet of you. For its action, it can use only the dash action or try to escape from an effect that prevents it from moving. If there's nowhere to move, the creature can take the dodge action. And then warding scales, you can use your channel divinity to ward your companions against draconic wrath or forces similar to it. As an action, you can choose a number of creatures you can see within 30 feet of you, up to a number equal to your charisma mod. For 1 minute, you and the chosen creatures have advantage on dex and con saving throws. And then at 7th level, you get Elemental Aura. You and friendly creatures within 10 feet of you have resistance to 1 damage type of your choice. And of course, those are the damage types closely associated with dragons. And then you can change the damage type when you finish a long rest. And then you've got 2 more, including a Draconic Avatar, where you get to transform into a Draconic Avatar for 1 minute at 20th level. So I'm not going to read all those because I want you to explore this on your own. And then you've got your NPC, which is a CR6, which is Nasira, Nasira Brilliant Thustle, a dragonborn, an itinerant adventurer seeking to redeem her clan name from their sire, an ancient blue dragon named 𝙤𝙤𝙘𝙤. She has aligned herself with 𝙤𝙤𝙘𝙤𝙤, an adult bronze dragon whose virtues inspire her oath. And then she's got Ideal Bond and Flaw, of course. And then you get this Dragon Hunter's Amulet, which is a very rare item as well, which it gives you some things like Speaking Draconic, and you can align with Dragon's Lair so that you can cast Scrying on that dragon and see what it's up to. So really fun, flavorful stuff in here. If you want to have like a dragon themed campaign, whether it's Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, or other dragon books that are out there, or you want to maybe use it for Dragonlance, which is coming up, there's a lot of options to work this in, and it looks really fun to me. So check it out. It's in the video description links under Oath of the Dragon. Give it a click. Next, we have Spelljammer, Dwellers of Wild Space by Can Usman, Stormcrow Dreamscapes for $4.99 for 41 pages. It says it contains 40 classic Spelljammer monsters adapted to 5th edition using the updated stat block style. All the stat blocks are accompanied by gorgeous artwork, and the challenge ratings range from 1 to CR21. So very, very cool. And these creatures can be encountered in the vastness of wild space, on remote planets, and abandoned Spelljammer vessels, asteroid fields, or other celestial bodies. And they can also be used in places like the Forgotten Realms. So, again, you need lots of stuff for wild space. It's vast, especially if you're going from realm space to Kryn space, or, all these different places. You're going to need things for the points in between. And just scrolling through, looking at some of the cool artwork and layout, it looks like it's going to be really nice, easy to read. This page is just devoted to the Bionoid, so you can just focus on the Bionoid. You don't have all this other stuff in your way. So that's always helpful. You can flow text in books. When I'm laying out our books, I do think about that, and sometimes I flow text, but a lot of times I try not to, because I really want you as a reader to be able to focus. And so I appreciate that the authors here have done that as well, so you can really just focus on the creature at hand. You're not distracted by some other creature stuff in the middle of the page. So super helpful. And avoid spoilers too, because you may be letting a player look at a particular creature, and then you don't want them to see the next creature, right? Even the name of it. So by having it broken out in this way and laid out without flowing text, I think that facilitates avoiding spoilers in some regards too. So looking inside, you get to see 7 of those 41 pages. And so we've got right off the bat the Albari, which is a CR2 for you, Ancient Mariner CR4, Argos CR6, and the Aster Eater, which is CR6 and looks pretty cool. Reminds me a lot of like a Beholder with the artwork. Then you got an Asteroid Spider for CR5. So let's read a little bit about the Aster Eater. It says, Aster Eaters are a rare kind of beholderkin that dwell in the asteroid fields of the wild space. Although related to beholders, Aster Eaters are not very intelligent or cunning creatures. In appearance, they resemble beholders with their large central eye and large mouth filled with razor-sharp teeth, but they don't have eye stalks and rock-hard skin. Similar to all other beholders and beholderkin, Aster Eaters are evil, hateful, and cruel creatures who despise everyone else other than themselves. So they're sort of like the ultimate narcissistic creature, just like other beholders. Possibility of successfully navigating an asteroid field. So Aster Eaters hide at the edges of asteroid fields and similar debris floating in the wild space and ambush unsuspecting targets. For example, they are known to ambush ships traveling through asteroid fields. So perfect. You have an asteroid field between Kryn space and Realm space, or whatever spaces you're going to. This can be lying in wait, ready to go, and they've got a lot of cool stuff going on in their stat block, including they're able to bite and grapple and then swallow creatures in this horrific mouth that they have. So that could be really fun, having to deal with a creature being, a player being stuck in there, and then the rest of the party has to get them out of there. So really fun. I like all the artwork in here for the different creatures. There's so many, and they're being brought back from past editions, which is always awesome. So I think you need to grab this if you're going to do anything in Spelljammer. Look for it in the video description links under Spelljammer Dwellers of Wild Space and give it a click. Next we have Spooky Equipment from Gabriel Groh. It is a suggested price of 99 cents for 4 pages, and it says the spooky season is here, and with it a wave of new content from various Steams Guild authors. I'd like to add to this pile of content with some new Halloween themed equipment. Enjoy these 15 brand new items. So really cool. I saw this one. There was actually 2 from this author this week, and it was hard to pick because Gabriel also has another one called Straw Folk, which is a race of like basically jack-o'-lantern headed people or scarecrows kind of thing. So that was fun too. I looked at it, but I was like, gosh, all this stuff we're looking at this week, we need to get some spooky items in here too for people that are planning a really fun Halloween D&D session, or again, a Ravenloft session. So either way, these are going to be awesome. And you can see right off the bat, they got carnivorous candy, collapsible coffin, ethereal cloth armor, ever-burning pumpkin, figurine of wondrous power options, and then gravedigger. I mean, it just goes on. Really cool stuff. So looking inside, let's read the carnivorous candy because I love the name of that. It's a consumable. It's uncommon. It says this bag of sentient candy is actually full of miniature mimics. You can use your action to pour the candy out of the bag and onto the ground in front of you. When the candy comes out of the bag, each piece sprouts arachnid-like legs with 6 beady eyes and 3 rows of razor-sharp teeth. The candy becomes a swarm of insects under your control. You can spend an action to command the candies to return to the bag. The swarm of insects regains all lost hit points at midnight. So yeah, it looks like you're carrying around this bag of candy, and then you dump it out, and it's helping you do damage. So pretty cool. And then you got collapsible coffin. It says this object appears as a wooden box that measures 12 inches. Yada, yada. Let's see. It weighs 4 pounds and floats. It can be opened to store items inside. This item also has 2 command words, each requiring you to use an action to speak it. One command word causes the box to unfold. And then there's cloth and that's usually red, white, or black inside, and the coffin can hold up to 4 medium creatures comfortably. And then the second command word causes the coffin to fold back into a box, provided that no creatures are inside. So any objects in the coffin that can't fit inside the box remain outside as it folds up. So you can unfurl it like a bed. And then it says sleeping in this coffin allows you to gain the benefits of a long rest in half the amount of time usually required. So that could be really helpful in the middle of a adventure. And then, it's like, wow, you're carrying this coffin, but it's only 12 inches long, 6 inches wide. And that's just a few. There's a Mask of Tricks, Ring of Treats, Gravedigger, which is a weapon, Mask of Disguise, Robe of Monstrous Beasts, Trick or Treat. I mean, just fun stuff. Maybe you even have your players trick or treat for these items and, get some magic stuff. Maybe they stumble upon a village that has, each house has magic items, and, you can only pick one house to trick or treat at. And each of your players gets one of these. So that could be really fun. I mean, however you use them, even outside of Halloween. I mean, some of these, like I could see the collapsible coffin getting a lot of mileage, literally, in Ravenloft. I mean, you've got just so many options, and it's a pay what you want price, and 99 cents, the suggested price, is a steal. So look for it. It's under spooky equipment in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we got Tendrils in the Dark by Chris R.C. Stewart, an investigative horror adventure where you can search for clues, delve into darkness, and save the town. It's also from Black Crown Games, $12.99 for 29 pages. And it says, it lasts 1 to 2 sessions, has 3 acts. Players come across a small mining village called Ferrum Peaks and soon find something is very wrong. Before long, the party will find themselves plunged into the town's mystery. So when I first saw this, I was just taken aback by how great the artwork is. There's so much good artwork in here. I mean, this map is just perfect. I love it. And these little busts they've got going on in this map. I mean, it all looks great to me. You don't often see that, especially for adventures. Adventures are the hardest sell, I think, on these sites. Most people are buying supplements and things like that. Adventures do sell, but they're harder. They're a harder sell. And so when people really put money into it and put artwork into it, I really, custom artwork, I love to see that because it's just so great. So it says they've worked really hard to make it accessible to navigate, easy to navigate, and they've also got some I guess development on it for screen readers, which is helpful. Some people need screen readers to be able to read whatever the material is, and so that's helpful. And I mean, everything looks so great, and I haven't seen this author's work before, so I'm always excited, especially when the first time I look at a publisher's work and it's so professionally done. I get excited because I'm like, oh, great, a new entry into the industry that is professional. That doesn't mean they're new. That they're new to me. They may have been doing this for months and I just haven't seen their past work, or years even. So anyway. So you've got a foreword, you've got the adventure background, which has all this cool information to help prepare you. And then you've got Ferrum Peaks, with all your important NPCs, arrival, dealing with that as part of Act 1. And then you've got Act 2, the sewers. And then you get the magic items and monsters in here as well. So it looks like it could be really fun. You get the foreword, how to run the adventure, and cool Illithid artwork here. Mind Flayer stuff, and then you've got running the adventure. So we'll read a little bit of this to kind of help you get familiar with this. So it says, 1 year ago, an Illithid, with its newly separated colony of Mind Flayers, moved underneath the town of Ferrum Peaks. Years before this, by chance of fate, the Illithid had the luck of unintentionally putting a doppelganger through seromorphosis. This led to the creation of a 𝘏𝙤𝙬𝙀, a boon of untold measure for mind flayers. With their 𝘏𝙤𝙬, the colony sent the 𝘏𝙤𝙬 to the surface to replace a council member. There, it would slowly dominate the other members into willingly descending to the mind flayer colony, where they would be converted into thralls. Over time, the entire council and town guards were converted into thralls, obeying the will of their masters below. However, the 𝙭knew that even with the control of the council, the citizens would still grow restless, so there needed to be a scapegoat, something that could take the fall for when the townsfolk would go out on their own. With the strength of the 𝙭on their side, the mind flayers successfully dominated and enthralled in Aboleth. With this, the 𝙭had its scapegoat. So they had just got the setup here. They've got an Aboleth, they've got a doppelganger, they've got a whole town taken over. I mean, this is going to be something for the adventurers to undo here. So the players arrive in town, and a quarter of the villagers are thralls at that point, and they have to investigate through the town, asking them questions, and they'll find legitimate and planted evidence. And it says the legitimate evidence will reveal that the disappearances are caused by mind flayers, while the falsified evidence will point to the cause being the Aboleth. So, yeah. And you've got the adventure hook, running a conspiracy. So mysteries are very different from dungeon crawls. When players pass a skill check, they often hope to achieve everything they want. For example, you might give them all the necessary details if they do a history check. However, for a conspiracy, it would be best to resist the temptation and instead give them only enough to keep going. Giving them incomplete information keeps the suspense and intrigue going. That is so true. And you have to really think about that as a DM. Like, when is it appropriate to just let the cat out of the bag, and when do you need to just maybe give them, a little bit of a fur ball or something out of the bag and keep the cat in the bag, because you can ruin an adventure that's more of a conspiracy, more of a mystery. If you're just, a successful check, well, it's mind flayers, maybe not. Maybe it's, this person seems to be under control of something. Well, that's just a hint, right? It's not telling you it's mind flayers, right? And it talks about ruining surprises for others. So this advice is, I think, going to be good beyond this adventure too. It says, before starting the adventure, take note of all the players' passive perceptions. It's recommended to read through this module in its entirety before running it, as there can be a couple of significant ways the adventure can end. This module refers to the DM's skill, or the Dungeon Master's Guide, Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, and Volo's Guide. So pretty cool. And it looks like they do have another book, so I just haven't seen that one. Or maybe I did. I've seen so many. I cover so many books each week. Maybe I've even covered this publisher before. If I have, I'm sorry. It all blurs together when I look at this many every single week for over a year. So anyway, I love what they're doing. I think this is going to be really fun. And mysteries, I think, are just underrated, underappreciated. And this artwork is stunning. The whole thing looks stunning to me. And I think uncovering this mystery could be really fun, because it's going to be an uphill battle, I think, to take out these enemies. And so if you have some players, like, your players, right? If you have some that are really good and really want to try something different, I think this is going to be for you. Or if you new group too could experience this as well. But in any case, you need to grab it. Get all this great artwork and maps to use for this and other adventures. It is under Tendrils in the Dark in the video description links. Give it a click. All right, that was our last new release. Before I let you go, let me preview what we're going to give you an exclusive Splinterverse discount next week on all our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's Mystery at Lantern Lane from Owl Point Press. Normally $4.95, but we're going to give you a great discount on that for the 24 pages. And it takes place in a small area near a large city or town, and it's designed to be run by a single DM for one player with a 3rd to 5th level character. So it's a duet adventure, and you don't see a lot of those, right? So it can be really fun for you to experience this. And And if it's going to be your first time playing duet, why not try it at a discount? Because you don't know if you're going to like playing duet, right? So instead of paying $4.95, why don't you make sure you follow us at Splinterverse everywhere? And then at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on Monday, we will be giving you the discount, exclusive discount to this, so you can get it and try it out and see if you like duet, and then maybe expand into other duet opportunities out there, because there are lots of those out there, including like Beowulf, for example. So it says, and it gives you tips for playing with just one DM and one player, and then there's NPCs that you can use elsewhere, screen reader friendly printable version, stat blocks for every creature in the adventure, so you don't have to look them up elsewhere, and of course a full map of this Lantern Lane where the mystery is going to take place. So the player investigates the death of 𝙤𝙤 𝙤𝙤 and is centered around the investigation, roleplay, and putting together the clues, and it's setting neutral, so you can place it anywhere in your homebrew campaign or an existing one. So I'm excited for you to check this out in our exclusive discount for next week. So thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video for the algorithm, leave us a comment. I'll respond to all those comments, and share the video out there with friends on your social medias so that they can find out about this, and check out all these new books every week too. We need this community to have customers so that they'll keep creating all these great works, and so it's always helpful when you spread the word about this series. And speaking of that, be sure to visit all the links in the video description so that you can click and purchase the great books we've shown this week. And if you make any purchase at any of the 2 sites that we cover, you're going to help the channel, because there's going to be a small affiliate fee we get from those purchases. So we appreciate it when you do your shopping with us. And consider one of our 6 books we've got down there, and we're doing a Dragonlance book later this year, so you want to make sure you're following us to get information on that. It's a massive book. And it's got so many cool things in it. I can't wait for you to see. If you like Dragonlance and Krynn, you're going to really enjoy it. And like I said, we've got 6 books down there: Feywild Companion, Swarms of the Multiverse, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, Potions Unlocked, and several others. So check those out. They're listed in the video description links, and those really help support us as well when you purchase those. And give us feedback. We love hearing your feedback on our books, so we can continue to just do our best work for you. And you can check all those out as well at splinterverse.com. And thanks again for watching. If you're a creator, I want you to keep working on your stuff. Feel free to just keep forging ahead, no matter what anybody says. If people say you can't do it, why are you wasting your time, all that stuff. I'm here to tell you it's not a waste of time. It's good for you. If you're enjoying it and you're getting words on paper, it doesn't matter if it's perfect. It doesn't matter if everybody loves it. It's okay for you to simply enjoy it, and for it to be something that you do with your time. Okay, so don't let naysayers stop you. There's always naysayers. No matter how good your work is there's going to be somebody who doesn't like it. You're never going to please everybody. So just don't worry about it. Just do it. Keep going, and I hope I get to see your work when you're done. All right, everybody, thank you for watching and supporting the channel. It means a lot to me. And until next time, happy adventuring.